Welcome everyone. It's 7 o'clock. I'm Jacqui Lewis. I'm pretty sure we're live. Mine says we're almost live, but every week it catches me early. This week's live is slightly different and is lovely to have a guest on because it takes me out of the hot seat and provides you guys with something a bit more interesting perhaps than seeing my face every single week. And this week I've met Debbie Wullschleger on a couple of occasions. We did a podcast recently which shouldn't be missed. Debbie has her own weight loss surgery journey, as well as specialising in the world of bariatric coaching and counselling and helping people to shift mindset and discover their dreams after weight loss surgery. So welcome, Deb.
Thank you very much for having me. What a pleasure.
I know, it's nice to see you again. You always look so happy and relaxed, so it's wonderful. And we've got some more in the waiting room, just one moment. So this week's also different because normally it's just me having a monologue with myself and hopefully some other people who are listening. And this week we have a range of registered guests in our group, who I'm going to mute. Sorry, guys. And so what it means is that at the end of our talk with Debbie, there's an opportunity for questions and feedback and your comments. So throughout the chat, if you have questions, you're welcome to pop them in the chat box for us, and we'll throw them to Debbie at the end of her discussion. So turn the recording off too. So welcome again. Sorry, I'm just letting everybody else in. We've got a crew here. And Debbie, I'm going to ask you a few questions first, and then we'll talk about your wonderful program. Tell us a little bit of history about your story and what led you down the path of weight loss surgery.
Yes. How much time do we have?
Never a short story, is it?
Well, yes. Well, as you hear, and thank you very much for having me here. I'll have an accent. So we came, actually 16 years ago, we came from Switzerland, moved to Australia. Thought we would stay maybe 2 or 3 years. And here we are, 16 years later. It's a beautiful place to be. Well, yes, I have been struggling with too much weight on my body my whole life. That's where I maybe get a little bit just quick into my story. I am adopted and did not know for many, many, many years about my birth family. And when only just before we came here to Australia, I started searching for my birth family. And what I found out then was and is that this is definitely a genetic thing, because the whole family unfortunately is and was struggling with overweight. And I'm saying this not to excuse any habits and any wrong choices I have made along the way, but I'm saying this also to give hope to others that, and research now shows these days that the genetic part of our body structure and overweight issues is much bigger and much more incorporated in this whole journey that they thought 10 years, 20 years ago medically. And so that then, I mean, it didn't change anything for me, but it gave me some kind of a peace and more like I could accept myself better, because I knew it was not all my fault and I'm not a failure. And then, after having 4 boys here in Australia, then in 2014, I got the gastric sleeve and have since lost just about 50 kilos. I'm very happy where I am now. I am on a journey with all of you and have my ups and downs and my doubts and my moments that come up. However, in the meantime, I have been studying life coaching. I did a master's level in NLP coaching and metadynamics coaching, and also did a counseling degree. And only not long ago, I really found, wow, this is where I can support people. This is my passion, my life, my story. And it is a gap in there because many go into the journey of the surgery and subconsciously think, well, all the problems will be solved, the weight will fall off, and it does. And that's what it's all there for. It's a tool that works very well for a few months, 6 to 15, 18 months, and then it slows down. And if we have not addressed our mindsets, our habits, our whole life, you will hear me talk a lot about purposeful lifestyle. I have really, in all of my research and working with clients, found at the end, we are body, mind, soul. We are a one. Family, career, relationships, hobbies, food, love for ourselves, all belongs together. And if one is lacking, the others suffer too. And so that's what I took on this journey. And it's my passion and goal to support and teach and walk alongside people.
Thank you. That sums it up, doesn't it? I think when you talk about the holistic nature of our, and I think we went over it in the podcast about our unconscious blocks and the things that we pick up from our environment and our habits and the things that we hear when we're children, and all of those things kind of stacking up to create the understanding of ourselves that we might have. Some of it's positive. I always talk about it like it's a disaster, but however, human brains are geared to hang on to more of the negative than the positive. So like they say in relationship, you're meant to have one. Every time you say something negative to somebody, you're meant to have 5 other inputs that are positive to balance that back out again.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
That sounds like hard work, really.
I may not be excellent at that, but that's actually research that in human transaction and communication, one negative needs 5 positives. So if you've got someone in your life who was, when you were young or whatever, telling you something that wasn't positive and not stacking it with all those positive responses, you start to believe it, I think. And that's kind of where we come from, is like those underlying beliefs and how they end up running the show. And I always liken it to like a toddler driving a bus down the street. That's what's happening. Not always go well.
And it's really interesting to look at this, because often these beliefs that we store subconsciously, they often go far, far, far back into our childhood, where we not even remember it if we don't actively look for it. And it could be one sentence, and that one sentence can stick with us subconsciously and create beliefs, limiting beliefs, negative beliefs about our being. And we subconsciously create identity around it. And it just does not serve us, especially on a life-changing journey like us. Yeah.
And so let's move on to how we access these parts of ourselves. Do you have any tricks of the trade, Debbie? That
Look, there is not that magic pill out there that after 20 minutes we are done and everything will run smooth. It is a process. We know that. We are human beings. We have to often hear things 5 times till it literally even sinks in, never ending, then even having change happening. There are so many methodologies and therapy styles, from the counseling and the coaching, from acceptance and commitment therapy to NLP, which I'm trained in, which goes, it's not hypnosis. A lot of people think it is. It is, though, a way of really visualize and access memories, and then really in the process of working through that, learning to let go of what's holding us back in that situation, in that moment, and implementing in our mind a new belief, a new habit, a new mindset, and then learn and work through to work towards that and not against. And you said before, we are often so easy to keep the negatives and put it out there to anyone. Who knows how quickly we are to say, I don't want to, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, no one loves me. These are all negatives. And we are so quickly to not necessarily speak them out loud, but think them. And these are blockages that hold us back of actually achieving our dream life, or a better, a healthier, more fulfilled life, a purposeful life.
I really like that purposeful life. It's almost like the mindful eating that always gets me as well. It's like we're really thinking and analysing, I suppose. And purposeful tells me that it's planned and it's not an accident and it's structured, which can sound boring depending on who you are. Some people love a list and check it all out, but it's also a introspection, I think, and that kind of is what we need in this, particularly in the times we're living in, with so much input from the world, from social media, from all that sort of stuff. I think it's very easy to lose who we are.
Yeah. And I can only add, when you said, some people like lists, I am very much for routine, organization, planning ahead. That journey, especially we are all on, if we are not prepared, if those carrot sticks or that apple is not cut up in the fridge, or the cheese and the crackers is first other than the bickies and the chocolate, well, we tend to go back to our old habits. So preparation and routine and simplicity, I think that's also a very important word in this journey. Just focus on what is important to you in your whole life, not only food related, and keep your food simple and be organized. And you already have one tick of setting, us up for success on the long term.
And simplicity is a lovely term as well. To bring that through as a thread into things that we're doing. What kind of, are there anything that we can do to analyse how complex we're making things? Because sometimes we just do things in the way that we do them when we don't realise that we're either overthinking it, overdoing it, over complex, making it too complex. Do you have any input on that?
A lot of the work I do with clients is that mindset shift, that becoming aware. Like, I love the quote. It says it's from Albert Einstein, but I'm not even sure if it is, but the quote is brilliant. And it says, we cannot change, or we cannot solve a problem with the same thinking we had or used when we created the problem. So, we are running our way, our habits, the way we did it, the way grandma already did it. But here we are and want to change something in our lives. And if we proceed that with the same approach of the same thoughts, the same mindsets, the same beliefs, we will turn in circles. And so that's where I really feel, keep it simple, focus on ourselves, focus on our thoughts and our beliefs about ourselves. If I'm telling myself, or, example, people cannot even look at themselves in the mirror. And I have been there. I know how it feels. You feel disgusted. I felt not good enough, not worthy enough. I didn't feel that I can go out and someone can even love me. If I keep that belief going, but want to solve a problem, want to achieve something else, I will be stuck. And so these are the processes in the work we do on this journey to get people on track and focused on a purposeful life. Yeah.
I see a lot of our patients who are givers. They're often putting people first. They're often, I can't do this for me, I'm doing family, or I've got work responsibilities, or whatever it is. I think they're used to coming last, which comes from mindset and belief system and self-love and that sort of stuff. When we do the surgery and we know that we've got to make these huge changes, it's probably for some people it's the first time they've ever actually put themselves first. It's pretty foreign. How did you find that? Were you one of those people who used to do things for you, as your cup was totally empty?
I would say so. I think at the time I was not even aware of any of this. I just was on automatic go. I mean, I had 4 little kids for many years close together, like others too. I had work, I have a busy husband, like life just happened. And if I am not taking a moment to just breathe and stop and listen to what I'm actually thinking and believing, then I will just run and life will just happen. And that's when people feel they are a failure. Like, it really gets me when I read in the Facebook groups, like, I failed the sleeve or the the bypass, I failed it. And I can write a long post there because I will say, no, you have never ever failed anything. First of all, I don't believe that anyone is a failure in the first instance. We as long we move and as long we proceed somewhere, have a goal, have a purpose, we might stumble, we might hit our feet on a blockage in the road, we might do, go deroutes, what's the English word? Detours.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to go all smooth, but we are not a failure. And that lately I have really dug into this about self-acceptance. And I can only talk from my journey. I am not, 60 kilos yet. Will I ever be? I don't know. I am, though, a absolutely different person now, 50 kilos lighter than I was before. Have I failed? No way. Have I learned tons and heaps? Oh, yes. And have I learned even to teach and support others in this? Yes, I have. So it comes down to, can I accept myself? Can I accept my body, even if it doesn't fit in the Instagram photo shoot photo that I might want to be? Even that, if I'm striving towards something unrealistic, well, I will bump even more than if I put some effort in to learn to love myself, to learn the different language around myself, and to put some time towards my journey, my lifestyle. Totally.
Yeah, and I think just not focusing on the number. And we do this in our Transformation Tuesday as well. It's like, don't focus on the number so much, because sometimes that, if you've started exercising and they've given you a number and you're putting on muscle, you'll never meet that number and then you'll fail. So it's not always mathematical, is it? It's looking at why are you on the journey? What did you choose to achieve? What's present for you now? And just putting those small goals in front rather than the end goal. I think if we're looking too far forward at this number and not looking at what's in front of us, we'll get stuck along the way for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned 2 things there. First of all, the too big of a step. Our subconscious mind cannot even comprehend if we want to go from here to here in one go. It's just not accessible for our brain to even think, what's next? What do I have to do? So really, we have to split it up in small steps and take one at a time. And if that didn't work the first or the third or the 5th time, we'll keep trying and implementing that one part. That's how we create new habits. The consistency of it all. It doesn't need to be a big step, but the small steps. And the
small steps often.
Sorry?
Small steps often.
Absolutely, yeah. And you said something else and I lost it now.
I was also going to talk about the same thing, like New Year's resolutions. They say don't come at the same problem with the same thing every year. So every year we go January 1, this is what I'm going to do. And we didn't do it last year. And so why would we do it this year if we're not changing anything? But I hear so many people talk about their New Year's resolutions, or, well, now I've fallen off on Wednesday, I'll start again on Monday. And it's about just getting back on and looking at tomorrow, not taking a whole year. I think if we're looking at changing something and then we're like, well, this whole year I'm going to do this, it's a pretty, firstly, undefined goal. And secondly, how are you going to get there? So it's not just January is going to do it for us, unfortunately.
That's why we fail. We set goals that are not achievable. And from a coaching point of view, these goals at the end maybe not even align with what we really want. And that's why we do these coaching sessions and run the programs. But I am a big fan of working one-on-one because I know that there is where big transformation, big breakthroughs can happen if you have someone opposite you that asks you the tough questions, which normally not anyone can ask. But that is in a loving, caring, positive way. And it will get you to think outside of your normal created box of security and safety. We tend to love to stay here because that's where we feel content and safe. We don't know anything else. Everything else out there is scary, is the unknown, is what comes, what will be if I go there. However, it's also the place where there is big change. Long life.
I think also it's dealing with success. I think a lot of people who get to the point where they need weight loss surgery, they've won and lost weight so many different times, and then suddenly they've got to kind of, even if you do reach your goal, how do you deal with the success? And I hear there's a lot of people who look for coaching around the then as well. It's like, I'm here now, and now what? So I think at all different stages, depend, going rightly or wrongly, or in the way you imagined or you didn't, someone to stand with you and help you to see. I think that's a lot of it is, can't you see? And here's what we can do with it. And that, I think, that's where you're stretched, and that's where you're going to grow, is having that expertise. Before we run out of time talking about all these amazing results and coaching, tell us about your 12-week program.
Yes. So what I'm running at the moment is a 12-week program, and I call it Keep the Weight Off Lifestyle Program. And we know why I call it Keep the Weight Off. We know that the surgery does its part. It's one awesome tool and it works. And then at some point, it probably requires us to work the tool a bit more than in the first few weeks or month. And the 12-week program is very intense. So we'll have a live group session every week. A lot of teaching, a lot of sharing, a lot of, in that format, what we are in right now. And it's awesome. So far I have 3 groups running, and people just connect and have even connections outside, which that's totally my goal. We are not on this journey alone. So connect with people and find your tribe, your support system. It's so important. And so the next round, we are starting next Wednesday on the 4th of August, running for 3 months. And my goal is to start a new round every month. So even if you are maybe not able for any other reasons than or not having the surgery yet, or just not can join in the August one, you can then join in the next lot next month. I would like to advertise a little bit. So what we are doing there is really going deeper in some of those topics we just addressed. Self-love. We heard about body dysmorphia. What is that? What's happening in our mind? Anxiety. Why do we constantly go back to food when we are in stress and anxiety? Breaking those habits. Purposeful eating, which is along the lines of mindful eating. 12 weeks, different topics. And I wrote a journal. It's a printed book because you can write in it. It has lots of teaching in there and charts to fill in your weight, the measurements and everything. And a lot of questions that really challenge you to think outside of the box. And I thought, as a gift to your audience, Jacqui, and thank you for having me, and to you guys, whoever signs up to the 12-week program before 12 o'clock, I will send out a free journal, which is normally on Amazon for almost $30. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I hope we have some questions.
We do. Thank you. I've got a couple of questions first. Tell us about so where do you begin with the first 12 weeks? You've got your cohort of people who've joined the group. Do you have your own, does each month's cohort have their own group, or are they all in your beautiful group that I've seen on Facebook?
Yes, at the moment it is that we have one group. I am very open, and that's a very good suggestion and idea to have different groups so everyone can connect in their group. I will definitely look into that. We haven't done that yet. And the setup is on Zoom. It's a call. I always send out a recording. So if you for some reason can't attend one, which happens, or more than one, you get a recording of the program.
Oh, perfect.
You get a workbook with it, and there is always the option to book one-on-one coaching sessions in between if you would like to take it that step further on. You know, we are so used these days to Google everything, to find all the answers online, to have courses here and there. At the end, it's just learning, it's just putting more in, but that does not yet get us to that transformation, the personal transformation. And that's why I'm offering actually a $25 discount for anyone who is in a program currently or in the future. During that time, when they want to book one-on-one sessions, they get a great, good discount.
Oh, that's good. Very good. We had one question in the group about, is it suitable for someone who had surgery 6 weeks ago? Is the 12-week course suitable?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's probably the best time, because so far you probably only struggled to get something in and get healing, you know, and get fitter again and more energetic. It does, definitely ideal time. Yeah. And it doesn't matter when you start. As soon you feel, oh, I am not on top of this, I need a reboot, I need some more inputs, I need someone to talk to that understands me, that knows the journey. Anytime, it's a good start.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Did I say 6 months or 6 years? I wasn't listening to myself.
No, I think you said 6 weeks.
Oh, did I?
I don't know what you said. What were you meant to say?
I was meant to say 6 years.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Again, the mindset get, you know, even more so. It's not running anymore, and we are not knowing what to do to get it going. It's another approach than just counting calories, and which I don't believe we are on a diet anyway, but that's a whole other topic in itself. That's why
it's a good one to cover.
Yeah.
So 12 weeks, a different topic every week, homework in between, workbook, journal, success. What are you seeing at the moment with people who are on the program? What kind of results are they seeing?
Oh, it's amazing. And everyone is taking something different out every week. We always reflect. And for one person, it was 1 week that purposeful, that one word of, wow, this involves my whole life. It's not just food. How do I address that? What do I do further with this? For someone else, it was the organization, you know, oh, great. So we collected ideas. What do you do? I have the water bottle that has the measurements, or you can set alarms if you forget to drink or eat. Just little, simple, practical ideas. Yeah, it's
simplicity.
amazing.
Simplicity is the word that got me this week. I'm good at making things complex and having a gadget for everything I do. So, yeah, it'd be good to visit that, I think. And just I think also that internal organization that comes from being externally organized and planning ahead is, you know, a key in all of that as well. And just, what do they say? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So it's about learning how to do that. And it's not, I don't know if we're taught much about that growing up, about planning ahead or goal setting. That's not something we do at school. I think it's something that's definitely, you have to go and look for that kind of knowledge in a lot of different fields as well. And so the question on everyone's lips is price. How do we look at what is the investment? Is there, how do we pay you?
Yeah, it's set up in a weekly payment, and the weekly fee is $24.
Oh, doable.
I hope so.
That's just a couple of coffees
and
a small bariatric meal.
Look, my goal is really to make it affordable, because I see that I have a heart of serving, of bringing value, of walking the way with people that really don't have anyone else even to talk to. I hear that over and over. I have no one to talk about this because no one knows about my journey. So
that's
I
very
want to
true.
create that safe space. Yeah.
brilliant. And I think that's, building that community, which is also what our group is about, is that safe place to come where you're getting sound information. And I think that's also the key, is knowing that where you're going is a good place to get information from. It's not just random, it's, research based, that sort of thing. I wanted to go off track slightly because I know you're involved now with the Bariatric Centre of Excellence on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
And that's pretty, the understanding of the whole bariatric journey from that more scientific perspective also must be quite eye-opening for you as well. What are you finding there?
It's at the very beginning. We have meetings with all the surgeons and nurses and admins, and it's going to be awesome. And what it does, and what the whole idea behind it is, and the medical world more and more and more on this. I mean, we don't do these surgeries since 50 years, so they realize that the surgery is one part, and the rest is other parts that their clients or patients have to work through and get support. And so that's the whole idea of it, to really support that holistic support for long term for the patients. So it's at the very beginning, but it's an awesome journey to be a part of. It
would be. I've been after the podcast, I was Googling it and I'm like, that's amazing. There's only a few practices that are really coming in with that very holistic care. And I think it's growing because the research is there now. And in the medical world, until it's on paper and it's well researched and there's numbers on it, even though they know, it's not implemented immediately. So it's really, we've done a few what they call road shows recently when we can travel. I meant to be in Melbourne today.
We met at the roadshow in Brisbane.
For the roadshow, so that's where we met. There was one in Sydney we went to, but it's fascinating now to hear like the genetic impacts of obesity and how that's coming into play, and it's 50 to 60% they're saying now, and just they're working out the percentage of the diet now and what's most effective. So how much protein, how much carbohydrate, all that sort of stuff, which now it's more documented as time goes on. Even the nutritional supplements, there's so much research on why that needs to take place now. And because they have this long-term view of a patient's health, they're saying at 5 years, like we were just talking about, is the coaching program suitable for 6 years? At 5 years, there's much more nutritional deficiency, health issues that are related to that. That's when people are falling off as well, is in that generally 2 years. Then anything after that, they were kind of getting lost after that as being, treated like general public. And even, patients will turn up 6 years after surgery for something in the hospital and they'll forget that they're a bariatric patient and they don't really think it comes into the picture. But it is part of everything that happens from the moment you have that surgery onwards. So it's that kind of education that I think we get from, chatting with professionals like yourself, and looking for that solid information and ongoing care. It's not just that 12-month period. We have a lot of people who cancelling their vitamin subscription at 12 months because they don't need it anymore. And they're like, no, I only needed it for 12 months. But that's the care period goes for that solid 12 months. But the commitment to everything remains for life. So there is those gaps in our understanding, what we want to hear, what our unconscious wanted to hear, all that sort of stuff. So it's a massive big picture, and I think the more we can treat it from that holistic perspective, the better. In the comments tonight under the live session, I'll post Debbie's contact details. How do we get in touch with you, Deb?
I have a Facebook group which is called Bariatric Surgery. I just changed the name and forgot the proper Bariatric Surgery Support Australia and New Zealand. That's it. And we talk a lot about mindset stuff and all that kind of the journey. And I have a website, which is Bariatric Consultancy. And there you also see other things that I have. I have freebies there, and you can read all about one-on-one coaching programs. It's all there. Email, message, friend me on Facebook. I want to be accessible for people to know that they can come and ask questions and share their story if they want to and need to.
Perfect. I'll also share the link to our recent podcast in case anybody's missed it, so we can get that full backstory and the understanding of the coaching. Does anyone have any questions out there in Viewerland? We had a great turn up tonight. It's always so exciting to see, people who show up are committed to these kind of processes and taking those steps to create that change. Thanks, Beck. At least it was, communication of some sort as well. Feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any questions as well. Nah, never. Not even the dietitians do that in our professional webinars. We're like, don't expect it.
Oh, that will change in my 12-week program. We are
public speaking program next, ladies.
Oh, good.
Thank you. I'll do all of that, my homework. I'll put all the links in underneath the live session, the podcast, and how to contact Debbie. And thank you all so much for your time and for, showing up. I think that's part of it. Another book I wanted to talk about just quickly when we're talking about small habits often is James Clear wrote Atomic Habits. And that was one of the books that I was just like, I can now see how a tiny little, tiny change just, has that domino effect. And it's things that you would never really think are making much difference. He likened it to, imagine starting out on a plane that's leaving from Melbourne and going to Darwin. And imagine if that plane was just off course by a couple of meters over that distance, where would you end up? And that was kind of the moment where I thought, that's tangible. I can understand that if I start out somewhere and I'm slightly just off course, but I don't even know, what happens at the end of my journey? Where do I actually end up? It's totally different than where I wanted to be. So his book's fantastic, and I highly recommend that. So thank you all. I'm going to love you and leave you and let you get on to your next mission, Deb.
Thank you very much for having me, and thanks for everyone for joining in. I appreciate it, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. And I'm sure we'll see you again around the traps.
Yeah, thanks. Sure. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.